Once upon a time, in a small village, there was a mischievous little dog named Max. Max loved to play pranks on everyone in the village, and he had become quite notorious for his antics. One day, Max was feeling particularly mischievous. He had heard that the local bakery had just received a huge shipment of fresh bread, and he knew that he had to get his paws on some. So, he hatched a plan. Max snuck into the bakery under cover of darkness and found the crate of fresh bread. He dug through the crate until he found the perfect loaf, and then quietly made his way back outside. Once he was safely out of sight, Max started to gobble up the bread as quickly as he could. However, he didn't realize that he had chosen the loaf that had been laced with hot pepper flakes. As soon as Max took a bite, he started to feel a burning sensation in his mouth. He tried to spit out the bread, but it was too late. The spice had already taken hold, and Max was in agony. He ran around the village, shaking his head and whimpering as the heat consumed him. Unfortunately, Max's prank had backfired, and he was the one suffering. He knew that he needed to find a way to cool down, and fast. So, he headed for the village pond. When Max reached the pond, he leapt in without a second thought. The cool water was just what he needed, and he felt the heat from the bread start to dissipate. However, Max didn't realize that he had jumped into a pond that was home to a group of feisty ducks. As soon as Max hit the water, the ducks started to squawk and flail. They knew that Max was trouble, and they weren't about to let him get away with jumping into their pond. Max tried to swim away, but the ducks were too quick for him. They started to peck at his fur and chase him around the edge of the pond. Max finally managed to get away from the ducks, but he was tired, wet, and still feeling the effects of the hot pepper bread. He knew that he needed to find a way to make things right. So, Max decided to go around the village and apologize to everyone that he had pranked. He knew that it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to make things right. He started with the baker, who was initially reluctant to forgive Max for stealing the bread. However, Max's contrite expression and numerous apologies eventually won the baker over, and he forgave Max. Next, Max went to the village children and apologized for stealing their toys and playing pranks on them. The children were hesitant at first, but they soon realized that Max was sincere in his apologies, and they forgave him too. Finally, Max went to the village elder and apologized for his mischievous behavior. The elder listened patiently to Max's apology, and then smiled. "Max," he said, "you may be mischievous, but you're also loyal and brave. You've shown us all that it takes courage to admit when we've done something wrong and to work to make things right. You have my forgiveness." Max was overjoyed to hear this. He had finally been fully forgiven and could now move on from his mischievous ways. From that day forward, he was known not just as the mischievous little dog from the village, but also as the brave and loyal one. The villagers no longer had to worry about Max's pranks, and they were glad to have him as a valuable member of their community. Max had learned an important lesson about the consequences of his actions, and he was determined to do better in the future. With a newfound sense of purpose, Max went about his days in the village, sniffing out new adventures and making friends wherever he went. He may have been mischievous in the past, but he had grown into a true hero in the eyes of the villagers. And as for the ducks in the pond, Max made sure to give them a wide berth from then on, knowing full well that they were not to be trifled with.